kind of very scary. I was with somebody else yesterday, and he said, his official mail, he gets a lot of mail, and it's all official mail, and all that is being managed within the company, and he has an assistant who reads his mail and all of that stuff. So I said, hey, if I have something to tell you, where should I write to you? Say, send me a mail on my Google account, okay? So now, what is secure, what is really cloud, what is not cloud, all these kinds of things are starting to happen, and apparently the same thing was what Hillary Clinton did, right? So she was sending mails on Google Mail because that was more secure than the NSA set up mail. So there's a whole lot of things that are happening in terms of how cloud is changing the way we are thinking. So it's no more that, oh, cloud is not secure, I'm not going to do cloud. Well, sorry, there's no choice. It's already happened, So it's how you deal with it is really the problem. Devices are going to get connected from anytime, anywhere. We are all on cell phones all the time, and we really need to work from there. Social networking and the permeability of personal and, so everyone is using one phone, whether it's on personal devices or on official work. How do I manage these personas? What happens to files I stick into Dropbox? All kinds of things like that. Where will the data reside, and what kind of access, global access, am I going to provide? So all of these things are creating more and more complexity and making the job for a CISA certified people even more complex than it is. And while I empathize with you, I really don't have a solution for you. And with this, I'm going to stop here and ask Hemant if we have time, we'll take questions. Otherwise, I wish you all the best for the next 2 days. And I hope you come up with some exciting solutions that will solve some of the problems that I stated.
Yeah, so we have a time for just a couple of questions. And, I reserve the right to ask the first question. So Anand.
You are also my auditor.
so it's a done deal. So Anand, it's a very scary sort of situation we are facing. Whether we like it or not, we are there. And if there is one mantra you have to give, how to deal with this situation, what would that mantra be?
I guess you started with Vakratunda, I guess. What can I tell you? No, see, on a serious note, I think a lot of times that we have done development in the past, security, compliance, and some of these things have been afterthoughts rather than something that has happened at the beginning of the process. I think it's high time the community that is part of Isaca and the CISA auditors take a front row in the business and the business decisions and not be seen as auditors, because the auditors are not something that are seen as running the business. Auditors are supposed to audit the business. I'm not so sure you want to be the auditors in the new digital world. You want to be part of the business and define the architecture and define how people are going to execute on that. So I think it's time that, the CISA certified professionals, which is a very important skill to have in the market as we move along, comes into the forefront and is part of the digital team that we talked about, rather than just somebody at the rear end for validating some things.
So now we'll have a time for just a couple of questions. Yeah, anybody? Nobody? Yeah?
There are so many small and medium companies who are going...
Can we have the mic? And ladies and gentlemen, one request, please put your mobiles on silent.
There are many SMEs who are shifting to digital world now, and they are not aware about all this, prevention mechanism. Are there any companies who are working specifically for Indian SMEs who can prevent loss for them?
I'm sure. I don't have a specific answer on that because I'm really not, but I'm sure there are people in the room who are providing those kinds of services, and they would be definitely interested. Though there is a couple of things that I would like to comment on in terms of what you just mentioned. So while one might say that it has become harder and harder for SMEs to run their business because of the complexity, actually in some sense, when you move to the cloud and use newer technologies, the complexity of the systems are actually much smaller. So in the past, if I were an SME and I had to run my own Exchange server or some email server, I needed 4 machines, all of those things. Today I can really go to an email provider like Google or Microsoft or whatever else, set up myself on a Hotmail or any other mail provider, get all my accounting done on the cloud, and everything else just works quite fine actually. So many SMEs today are adopting the fast moving world on newer technologies and not having to constrain themselves on the way people were doing business in the past.
Yeah, anybody else? I think I saw some other hand. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
The ladies cannot be ignored, you know.
Good morning, sir. I'm Shobna from MIT University. Good morning. This is Shobna from MIT School of Telecom Management. Sir, 2 weeks back we had an opportunity to take our students to our Hinjawadi setup. And thank you very much. It was quite impressive. Even the students had a good interaction with your technical team. So when we were sitting for the presentation, the team had explained about the success story, the case study of Satyame Jayate, you know, the way like you handle the big data analysis and all kind of thing. So if you can please tell me some more, tell us, explain how that thing started up and how you know, what are the technical challenges you faced.
Actually, you know what, we have a speaker in the later in the day today who has worked on that himself and is part of that team. Okay. I'll leave that question for him so that he has something to say.
Sir, do you have any other plans to take up such kind of, because that was quite impressive, the way you handle the team, you know, the kind of interaction you had with the team, and it's like quite challenging, I could feel. So.
Yeah, and I think he'll explain that to you. We have been doing some of those things. We'll do more of them, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, one more last question. So I'm going to tell Tomio-san. Tomio-san is CEO of Sharp in India.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm going to give him a role and he's going to challenge us over the next 2 days. I mean, so what, you know. So, and there'll be another role for my colleague from Deloitte, but we'll come to that later. Tomio-san, any comments, quick comments?
Thank you for the opportunity. It's my pleasure to be here, being a Japanese and a foreigner, to participate in this event. Thank you for that, Joshi-san. I just want to make one clear comment here, that all the technologies have the challenges, because always there is a threat and competition. But things are made by humans. Things are made by humans. Whatever it is made, it is by humans. So there should be some human relations, human nature things that we cannot forget. And I'd like to mention more about this in the, tomorrow's session. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any last question? One last question. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Sandeep Godbole, the past president of Isaca, Pune. There has been a long debate, and it's historical, and Isaca had a stake in that, and that's how the concept of IT governance emerged. And the debate was with respect to commoditization of IT, you know, whether IT becomes a commodity, and because of that, does it have potential to give advantage in the marketplace, a strategic advantage. Now, when we look at the digital and, you know, listening to you, I see a mixed bag. You know, certain basic aspects related to the cloud or mobility could be viewed as the commodity, while the ability to transform is what becomes a differentiator. So how do you see this model going? Do you see that over the next 5 to 7 years, the same thing? I know it is risky to comment anything in the IT world, but in the near future, do you see a same model emerging where there are parts which are going to be increasingly commoditized, and as we go, the extent of commoditization in IT is going to increase and shrinking the differentiator or the transformation part of it?
Okay, so I want to comment on this from two aspects. One important thing that when we do these kinds of comparisons that we miss out is on granularity. Okay, so when we refer to IT, it's not all one IT. There are many small things, many different things, different granularity of things. So it's not just one IT, right, many more. And when we talk about commoditization and differentiation, that's really the point, right? More and more things will incrementally and continuously get commoditized. That puts pressure on every company to find new differentiators to differentiate themselves. And this is going to be a continuous process. So right now what is happening is that technology infrastructure is no more a differentiator. Because I can go to the cloud and get the same infrastructure that any other company has at a fairly nominal cost. So when we talk about these newer companies such as Airbnb or if they had to go do this manually one by one, go build all those rooms, they would have never made it. The fact that they were able to take technology which was available and convert that commodity technology into a differentiator by creating user experiences that were unique really drives what this is all about. So when you look at it, when you look at differentiation, who are you talking about? We are talking about the differentiation from the point of view of the consumer, somebody who wants to consume something. So if you look at it from the consumer's point of view, user experience is going to be the biggest differentiator. So how do you focus on user experience to make differentiation happen by using more and more technology, including commodity stuff, is really what this is all about. And is this going to happen on an ongoing basis? Absolutely. It's going to happen every year. More and more things are going to become commodity. And the need for user experience or the expectations from users about the experience that they expect, that bar is going to keep going up. All right. Thank you very much.